Apart from offering fresh air to breathe, trees have much more to unveil.
That is the craziest I've ever seen.
15 years of being a warden, I haven't seen bears caught in a tree before.
There's the doggy. Oh.
Wiggling beings concealed in hollow trunks or bizarre secrets from the past coming back to life.
This thing is big, and it looks heavy, like it's made of steel.
There seem to be big chunks missing, and it's completely rusted out. Whatever this is, it's been here a long time.
Get ready to watch what happened when this guy opened a dead tree. This scene is the worst nightmare for any woodworker. A man opened a log of wood from an oak tree and found these sneaky little worms in hordes. Freak not, guys. They are the carpenter worms that burrow deep into the wood, chowing down on the tree's insides, the sapwood. These worms are a meal for some indigenous folks, and interestingly, they are packed with protein and fat, making them a surprisingly nutritious snack. So, even though his wood might be a bit worse for wear, our man ended up with a handful of these squirming critters for food. Worm Bonanza. Seeing all these worms crawling out of a coconut tree trunk, you might think that it has gone to waste. But no, this man from Cambodia was intentionally collecting these brazen worms and will eat them. Look how meticulously he searched each clump of dirt to not send anything to waste. These are called coconut worms, as they were found inside a coconut tree, but they are a type of snout beetle at its larvae stage. Gypsy Moth. This tree completely covered in what might look like a millipede infestation to you, but in reality they are gypsy moth worms, whose infestation has caused significant disruption to the residents of Anaconda, New York.
We've created this place where we live, and now we can't enjoy it.
These tiny caterpillars wreaked havoc on trees and foliage throughout the area, causing allergic reactions, including skin irritation and hives from contact with caterpillar hairs, further exacerbating the situation.
I'm allergic to it, so it's like hard to sit out. I think it's their hairs, it gets like on the pillows, and that's what I'm allergic to.
While management efforts such as vacuuming caterpillars were underway, complete eradication was unlikely at that stage due to their massive numbers.
The treatment window is rapidly closing, if not closed already.
Hopefully, the authorities address the infestation effectively.
You're as crazy as I am, go out and suck them up with a vacuum cleaner.
Horseshoe.
This is kind of a cool story. I didn't do this.
This man's forest adventure took an interesting turn when he came across a very unique tree stump. Wedged inside the stump was a horseshoe. But who put it there? Well, the man suggested that years ago, a guy must have put it in between the double trunks and the tree grew around it, hiding the shoe in between. And when the gardener cut it, he discovered the horseshoe embedded in the wood. The metal shoe must have ruined the chainsaw used for felling the tree.
You never know what you're gonna find in the wood.
Tent caterpillar. Be prepared to be grossed out by this one. This tree had been infested with tent caterpillars, who, like any other worm, damages trees and plants. They are called tent caterpillars as they spin huge, tent-shaped communal webs in trees. These gross critters seem pretty impossible to get rid of, but spraying the infested place regularly can help eliminate the population. Trapped cubs. In 2014, a cabin owner near Little Pine Lake became concerned about loud cries persisting for more than 2 days. Unable to identify the source, he contacted the Department of Natural Resources for assistance. Upon investigation, the DNR warden found 2 bear cubs trapped in a tree trunk.
About 2 days, she called and she stated she had been hearing some sort of crying, like an animal noise coming.
They speculated that the cubs probably climbed into the tree, causing debris to seal the hole, trapping them inside.
What I think happened is when they climbed in, some of that dead tree or bark and debris up there probably fell down and sealed the hole off.
They used a chainsaw to create a window in the tree, allowing the cubs to be rescued. The cubs were examined by a wildlife rehab specialist and then were allowed back into the woods safe and sound.
15 years of being a warden, I haven't seen bears caught in a tree before. I've seen lots of bears, just...
Canine surprise. Back in November 2023 in Louisiana, workers cutting down a tree made a surprising discovery. A dog was trapped inside the trunk. They used a chainsaw to free the trapped canine. When they inspected it closely, they found out that the adventurous pup had been chasing a squirrel and ended up getting stuck in the process. Thankfully, the tree was hollow and the workers successfully rescued the dog. Burning tree. In the middle of a natural disaster raging through Sonoma County, a resident embarked on a tense journey looking for escape routes. Amidst the chaos, he stumbled upon a bizarre sight, a tree burning from within. The flames flickered eerily inside the trunk, creating a haunting image. And it wasn't just like a part of the tree was affected. The entire tree burned from top to bottom, while the outside remained unaffected. It looked like a tree from hell. Many people said that the trees infested with beetles become weak and end up like this. While others believe that these trees are not 100% alive, they easily get under the fire. But whatever the reason, it's quite a strange phenomenon to witness. Animal bones. A few years back, this guy found something truly bizarre in the middle of the woods. As he jogged, he noticed that something was hanging from a tree. Upon a closer look, he found that it was a strange bone.
So I found this. Not really sure what to make. I mean, it looks like either a deer or possible elk.
Assuming it was probably just a random bone, he continued his journey. But then he found out there were more and more of such bones, just randomly hanging from the trees. Deer antlers.
All right, hang in there, buddy. I'll get you loose.
This deer stuck in the tree trunk might look pitiful at first glance. With its antlers stuck and struggling to get free, as soon as it felt the man approach, it calmed down waiting for him to make his move. Hopefully the guy helped the poor animal and helped it get free. Otherwise, it would probably have ended up like this.
There's my deer horn stuck in the tree.
These deer antlers were discovered by a guy taking a stroll in the forest, probably left by another one who got stuck in there and was unable to get itself free. Swallowing tree. Nature doesn't wait for anyone, and it's also not stopped by anyone. And these trees are the best example. Have a look at these trees that weren't stopped by objects that came in their way and grew to their full potential. A bench being swallowed up by the tree. See how the tree has taken up all the backrest? Here's another tree that grew to its full size through a caul. It pierced the roof of the car. A bunch of people had gathered to see the spectacle, and I have been wondering how long the car has been there for the tree to grow this tall. Many people were skeptical of the scene and said it wasn't real. Flying raccoon. Raccoons often make their homes in tree trunks, particularly in hollow sections. When these trees are cut down, it can disrupt their habitat. These workers were cutting down the tree, and amidst the chaos of the tree coming down, a small raccoon darted out from its hollow haven of the tree's trunk, probably propelled by the jolting descent. Not a pretty way to throw out your annoying tenant. Raccoons aren't the only ones who like to live in trees. Other rodents like trees too, and not just any trees. They like the fancy ones.
Imagine you're just sitting in your living room, marveling at your magnificent Christmas tree. And then the ornament sneezes. What would you do?
This Texas woman heard someone sneezing, but thought it was probably her pet. But she couldn't believe her eyes when she discovered a possum inside her Christmas tree staring back at her. Not to ruin Christmas, she braved up and put the intruder outside. The clip she posted gained a lot of attention and gave people theories as how it would have entered the house. Tree Trunk Pub. Tanzine, a cool spot in South Africa's Transvaal area, is famous for its lush soil and ancient Sead forests. But amidst all that natural wonder, there's one tourist attraction that seemed a little out of place: the Baobab Bar. Back in 1992, the Van Herden family turned a giant hollow baobab tree into a pub. And that's how the Sunland Pub was born. This isn't your average tree though, it's the widest baobab in the world, stretching at a whopping 46.8 meters in width. and it's been around for ages. Experts say it's at least 2,000 years old, making it not just a bar, but a living piece of history. But unfortunately, due to climate change and the tree's old age, the pub has been closed for the public. Tree trunk fishing. These fishermen from Cambodia were out to catch some fish, but in a place not many would expect. Walking through the woods, and after some searching, he seemed to have found the perfect place. Yes, a tree to catch fish. He got to work and started opening up the trunk. As soon as he made a hole in the trunk, he found a bunch of small catfish. You might be thinking, how can these catfish live inside a tree? Well, that question has to wait, as not many experts have found out the reason. But the theory is that they are able to survive there for a few months during the dry season, and then they go back to their usual aquatic habitat. Growing skull.
I'm exploring a new area. I've just walked under some pretty big tree snaps down this path.
A lady was exploring the snowy woods when she came across a very creepy tree. A skull was tucked into a trunk, appearing as if it were growing out from there.
I've just come across this skull.
The teeth appeared intact with the upper jaw. The elongated shape showed that it belonged to a snouted animal. People on the internet speculated whose skull it could be. Some believe that it was the skull of a raccoon or some other rodent.
What an odd thing to put in a tree.
Termites.
Well, this was certainly a surprise to find in the backyard.
In 2021, some uninvited guests seemed to have moved into the backyard of this house. Termites! And they've made a cozy home in an old buried tree. The homeowner decided to deal with these unwanted critters and quickly called the pest control service. They sprayed a special liquid all around the tree and the house, a secret shield against termites that they couldn't even sense. The liquid spread through their group and the house was bug-free. Giant Anaconda. Imagine walking through the woods and you come face to face with this. This guy seemed to have the same encounter when a giant anaconda perched on the top beech of a tree was right in front of him. With its tail wrapped around the tree's trunk. As he recorded the critter, it spooked him with its giant mouth. The man extended his hand trying to interact, but thankfully the snake didn't take the bait. Salamander. A guy strolling in Florida spotted a piece of wood blocking his path. Curious, he moved it aside and saw something slimy and black slithering underneath. Upon closer inspection, he was shocked to discover that it was a salamander. It was quite surprising because salamanders usually prefer wet places. Here's another guy who had he found a bunch of amphibians living under a massive rock. The area beneath the rock was nice and moist, just the way they liked it. There were red salamanders and frogs living simultaneously under the rock.
You can do it!
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Oh, and it's a big northern red.
Stuck cow. Raised water levels affect humans and animals alike. A cow was found stranded in a tree. When found, the rescuers attempted to free the animal from the tree. It was probably hungry from all the chaos as it munched on the leaves. Eventually, the cow was freed from the tree, ending the concerning situation. Tree snake.
Saw what appeared to be like a large snake that seemed like it's not from this area.
Residents of Frick Park were left fearful when a large snake was sighted by a group of hikers. The local public safety reassured the residents and started a search for the snake, and were successful in finding the serpent. It was an eastern black rat snake and was confirmed to be a part of the park's ecosystem. Even though it looked dangerous, the snake was not venomous, proving it was not a threat to humans.
Snakes are more afraid of us, so, if you do happen to see one, you could just, step to the side or maybe wait till he crawls through.
Human fossil. Researchers working on an archaeological site in Atapuerco Mountain, Spain, just found something that might tell us humans more about our origin. The workers discovered a super old jawbone fragment of a human that was believed to possibly be the oldest in all of Europe. Scientists working on the site took on the role of detectives and tried to figure out just how ancient this fossil really was. and discovered that it dated back to about 1.7 million years old. The last oldest fossil was also found in the same site and was about 1.2 million years old.
Podemos trabajar en las hipótesis sobre el origen de la cara moderna.
There's another incident where a teenager from Salt Lake City, Utah, made a very creepy discovery in his backyard. While digging up a pond to grow trout, he found parts of a human skeleton. Freaked out by what he had found, many speculations surfaced. Could it be a crime scene or a resting place of a Utah pioneer? The family called the police, and they found that the bones were about 700 years old. Ram skull. This fascinating ram skull in our archives is fully encased in the trunk of a 200-year-old tree. Found in the remote backcountry of the American West, this piece was one of a kind, as the skull was fully encased in wood. Experts believe that probably the ram head got stuck in the tree, as park rangers have also encountered stuck sheep on occasion, and the remains of stuck rams even more often. Clandestine eggs. A guy found a hollow tree and decided to see what was inside. When he opened up the trunk, he was surprised by a bunch of white eggs. As there was no nest and no bird to take care of them, he was unable to find out who the eggs belonged. But the mysterious eggs looked like chicken eggs. Suspended treehouse. In the middle of the forests of Vancouver, Canada, a man crafted something extraordinary. A boat maker fascinated by the sphere shape embarked on a journey to construct round orb-shaped treehouses suspended from the trees that seemed as if they descended from outer space. These spheres offer accommodations that allow guests to sway in the forest canopy, approximately 15 feet above the forest floor. These unique orbs are available for visitors to experience at the Free Spirit Resort on Vancouver Island and offer one-of-a-kind overnight stay. Money grows on trees. The saying money doesn't grow on trees just came true for a family in Karnataka, India. During a raid carried out by the Income Tax Department, the agents seized 10 million Indian rupees. And you would be surprised to know where they found the money. The stacks of cash were found hidden in a box hanging on a mango tree. A very unconventional place to hide money, if you ask me. And to top it all, the discovery coincided with the coming elections in the state, causing heightened scrutiny from both the Income Tax Department and the Election Commission of India to monitor illegal activities. Deer rescue. Back in 2016, in Oregon, USA, a group of hunters discovered a deer stuck between two tree trunks. The two guys went in to help it get free. At first, they tried to make a little space by pushing the trees, but they couldn't find a way to make the deer slip away. So they used an axe to loosen up the trunk. The deer panicked and thrashed around, but they were careful not to hurt it. Finally, they successfully helped the deer, and it ran like there was no tomorrow. Another similar incident unfolded when this ranger was out on a routine patrol when he stumbled upon a very pitiful sight: a horse stuck in a tree trunk. The juvenile animal was trapped right through the middle of its body. The man took it upon himself to help the poor animal. It probably ended up there while running. He noticed that one of its hind legs also had a problem. He picked up its legs and moved it through the tree, salvaging its leg. And then the horse was able to run freely. This ranger truly saved the day for this one. It's webbed trees. Residents of Australia witnessed a scene that looked straight out of an apocalyptic movie. When every tree and bush of a rural roadside was blanketed with cobwebs spun by spiders, it looked like someone had put up a sheet on these plants. Everything in sight was covered with spiders still working to put out more webs. This strange event occurred due to heavy rain and raised water levels. According to scientists, spiders do this to protect themselves. They produce a special kind of web that is very thin and delicate and allows them to fly away with the breeze, sometimes as far as 100 kilometers. Although a nuisance for people, these spiders will be gone with the winds. Hanging raccoon.
And a smaller tree at that.
A man was out taking a stroll by the lake when he noticed something in the distance. On one of the barren trees, a raccoon was hanging. It appeared to be lifeless. The man recording speculated that an eagle hunting it down might have dropped it accidentally, or it might have an injured limb and was stuck there. Here's another clip of a possum hanging from a tree. I know you're probably thinking, how is it hanging there and where its head is? Well, this marsupial has fallen prey to a python. Look at the snake constricting it and pulling it toward the branches. As for its head, it's in the python's mouth. Soon the serpent has pulled up its meal entirely and will swallow it whole. It's truly remarkable how these limbless creatures lift their prey twice their size with little to no support. Moving tree. It's a renowned fact that trees cannot move from one place to another on their own. But this clip here seemed to have captured a tree moving on its own. Instead of remaining rooted in its place, the entire tree moved back and forth with its roots exposed. Experts believe that trees with shallow roots often end up like this when strong winds blow. Running roots. Just have a look at how this man was cleaning away the dirt from the root, when suddenly the root jumped away like a frog. Although it seems mysterious, here is an interesting fact. This guy was actually pulling a ginseng, which is a very precious and expensive Asian herb. People usually tie red ropes around the plants to prevent them from jumping, like this man did. But just when he cut the root from the plant, it's gone. No one knows how and why these roots pull this off. Some even say that it isn't real. But I'd like to know what you think of this. Let me know in the comments. Woodpecker. Wildlife photographer Marie Reed got the chance to take pictures of probably the busiest bird, the woodpecker. These fascinating birds are known for their unique behavior of storing acorns. Found in Southern California, these birds collectively store their winter food supply in a tree known as a granary tree, which is used over the generations. Known for their characteristic waka waka call and dramatic wing spread displays, it's no wonder why they are famous among bird watchers and photographers alike. Car graveyard.
Boat a bit further down as well.
A group of friends were out exploring the woods somewhere in England when they discovered something that scared the wits out of them. Right in the middle of the woods were a huge number of abandoned cars. It looked like the place was hit by an apocalypse, with rotting vehicles strewn around. Although the site had a very intriguing nature, there was no historical information about it to be found. Nobody knew how all these cars ended up there, which added to its mystery. Nowadays, the place is attracting attention from urban explorers and enthusiasts interested in abandoned places and vintage automobiles. Wish tree. From a distance, it might look like this tree has some strange texture, but when the cameraman went in for a closer look, they found out that the tree had countless coins embedded in it. Found in various places all over Great Britain, they are the wish trees. This tradition of making wishes and hammering in a coin as an offering has been going through generations. Some of the trees are so full of these coins that they seem like a part of them. It isn't until you look closely that you find out that it's actually coin. And recently they have become sort of a tourist attraction. People who visit make sure to follow through the tradition. Tree art. You all have probably seen art, but what about arbor sculpture? It's a very special kind of art and technique of growing and shaping the trunks of young trees. Richard Reams from Oregon grows trees into fantastical shapes, be it peace signs, words, or even a boat. Almost everything is right up his alley. His creations take decades, and sometimes it might be 5 years before he learns that a piece just won't work. Even though it takes time, the end results are sure worth all the hard work.
I really enjoy it now, and it sure seems like I can continue this for the rest of my life.
Tree cycle.
Pretty cool. Took about almost 8 miles to get here. There it is.
A rusted old bicycle hung suspended inside the trunk of a tree about 7 feet off the ground, giving the impression that the tree tried to swallow it. The unusual sight has sparked numerous stories about how the bike ended up in such an odd position. Some tales suggest that a child left the bike near the tree and never returned. The bike seemed to be from the 1910s. The tree probably weaved between parts of the bike and lifted it up over the decades. Today, the bike has become a fascinating attraction for hikers and bicycle enthusiasts alike. Breathing tree. Up until now, we have seen moving trees along with other unusual stuff. Now let's have a look at these breathing trees. Back in June 2022 in Alberta, Canada, these guys were working to assist hazard trees. Then they heard a loud noise and saw this tree that appeared to be breathing. Well, there is a more suitable explanation for this. The region was experiencing heavy rainfall and strong winds, and the wind blowing made it look like it was breathing. Simple as that. People on the internet really make a lot out of nothing. Devil tooth. Now have a look at these strange objects sticking to the foliage on the ground. They are a kind of fungi known as devil tooth fungus, also called bleeding tooth due to their resemblance to them. See how they ooze out the blood-red fluid when squeezed? It has various compounds and its purpose isn't known yet. But one theory states that the fluids might act as a factor to deter predators. But despite its creepy appearance, they are pretty harmless. Hanging ribs. A group of friends went out into the woods at night and were creeped out by what they saw there. A bizarre skeleton was perched on the branch of a tree. The structure appeared half with its sharp teeth still visible. The group inspected it closely, but was unable to identify it. Many people on the internet speculated it was probably a coyote, as they can climb trees, and the skeleton resembled a canine. Although terrified by the discovery, the group left the place, but how it ended up on that branch remained a mystery. Now it's time for today's open discussion. This picture going around on the internet was captured when a group of Brazilian men was out on the beach hunting their next meal. These odd-looking white strings are pteridonavales, more commonly known as woodworms or shipworms, but they are mollusks. Living inside rotting trees, these critters easily reach a length of 12 inches within 6 months. And what's ironic about them is that they aren't huge fans of air and pass away as soon as they are exposed to air. Now for the fun part, people intentionally harvest these worms as it's a local delicacy. Even with their global popularity, no one enjoys a good slurp more than the locals. It's really interesting how different cultures have unique culinary traditions based on their local resources. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again,